Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity, the podcast where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. I am your host, Preston Proctor. Talking a little bit about last night's game. But before I get to that, it was Rule 38 is the Coach's Challenge section of the NHL rulebook. I neglected to fully inform about Rule 38 yesterday. But so that's what it's called. It's not video review. It's the Coach's Challenge. So Rule 38 Coach's Challenge was changed to enable review of delay of game penalties, which there was one last night, and it upheld. Exasperating game last night in some ways. The Toffoli was back. Good to see him on the ice. And the Preds kind of felt like they tried to lose, but they didn't. Everything, the third period was supposed to be the period everybody scored in, not the first or second. And then they wound up losing the second period, 2-3. So much for that analysis. It's trends, and the exception to prove the rules. And then when the exception becomes more often than the rule, I guess you have to rethink your rule. But anyway, good win for the Predators. It's tough to beat a team back to back. 3 fights right off the bat at the start of the game. What is that all about? Remembered a conversation I had with a buddy of mine who played minor league hockey for a number of years, and he had this one series of games where he played for Sioux City, and they would go someplace, and it was a long trip. So they would go there and they would play them like twice at their arena, and then the other team would follow them back, and then they would play in their arena. And by the third game, everybody was figuring out who was going to fight with who. And I think one game they barely had enough people left on the bench to play. How he put it anyway. So assuming his recollection is close to correct anyway. But so lots of that close of familiarity, I guess, breeds a lot of resentment. So the only explanation I have for all the fighting last night. That's all I've got. And as expected, I really couldn't wait to do to redo my playoff analysis, and so I did it this morning. And I don't know why, but didn't. There's not a lot changing in the Atlantic. Toronto, Florida, Tampa Bay still look poised to be the top 3. In the Metropolitan, Washington, Carolina, and New Jersey, the top 3, but Carolina and New Jersey swapped places in this last analysis. And the New York Rangers managed to turn things around enough to be the first wild card team. In my estimate, they were the first time I did the analysis back in the middle of December, and then they crashed to the bottom. But they've managed, I guess, to work their way back up and getting through the issues that they had with after they traded their captain, Trouba. Yeah, the Rangers, let's see, they've moved up to 5th in their division. But yeah, they must be playing a little bit better. And then Columbus is also sitting poised to be the second wild card spot, and that's new because they were, well, I guess, looking at the original, they had 91 points, which didn't leave them too far out of a playoff position, but other teams were above them. and the other teams have fallen away. Notably, Ottawa and Boston have fallen away, and so that's what's going on in the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, it's looking. I changed my format to something I like better the whole way I did it, and I've got to reconcile with what I already have. So the Central Division, Winnipeg, Minnesota, and Dallas, all still 3 poised to be there. Vegas, LA, and Edmonton also poised to be there in the Pacific. Edmonton and LA swapping positions. The West wildcard spot, Colorado and Calgary. Colorado was still there. Calgary, Vancouver actually was a little bit ahead of Calgary, but Calgary was in the mix. Vancouver, definitely one of the teams that they've had their problems, and they've fallen back from my estimate of being able to make playoffs. So it was Utah and St. Louis. Nashville is still solidly right where they were going to be. Still at 85 points, an estimate of 85 points, which is where they were in my last analysis. Actually behind where I had them in the first analysis at 88 points, but where they're at in the rankings has moved up. So I have them above Anaheim, Seattle, Chicago, and San Jose right now. So that wasn't as encouraging as I hoped, but about what I thought, given the way that I'm doing it, which is just primarily estimating based upon the current records and the winning percentages of the top teams in that division. And in the Central, the winning percentage is 61%, which is the highest of in the league, the Pacific and Metropolitan at 58 and the Atlantic at 55. But so that's the kind of the overall playoffs for the Preds. They were 47 games in, 37 games left. They've got 43 points, so 50 needed for an estimated 93. The math is easy. So 25 games. They need to win 25 games to get there. They've got 37 left. So 12 games are 12 games of slack, which is about a third, which would mean they'd need to win at 67%, which is not undoable. I mean, obviously, right now they are doing that. The Capitals are winning at a clip at 69%. But they also have 111 points. They're in position to win the President's Cup again. But 69%, and then Winnipeg is at 65%. That's the second highest. So the winning percentages are not really in the Preds' favor. But if they keep winning, then they'll get to the point where the percentages do turn into their favor. And at that point, they still have a chance. Nothing new on the transaction watch, no trades. And so let's just get to it. The Nashville Predators are on a 2-game road trip. They're 1-0 after the win last night, and they follow last night's game up with a game tomorrow in Anaheim. Playing tomorrow in Anaheim. It is the first game of 3 versus Anaheim. The first of 2 in Anaheim. Both remaining games are in March, and they're within a week of each other. So we won't see this team again until the season is almost over. Anaheim is 18-23-6. Overall, 9-12-2 at home. They are 7th in the Pacific with 44 points. They are 1 point behind Seattle, who has played 1 more. Both of these teams are the next teams that Nashville has to climb over. So that's encouraging. You get to play them. And so what is that? So Anaheim is 1 point ahead of Nashville. So it gives us an opportunity to climb up the leaderboard in the Pacific, and in the Western Conference and in the league. And that makes the rest of the season a little bit more encouraging. For Anaheim, this is the third of a 3-game homestand. They're 1-1. Next up for them is a 2-game road trip heading out to Seattle and then Calgary. They just ended a 4-game losing streak with their win last night, and they're 3-7-0 in their last 10. Previously, they have had a 4-game and a 5-game losing streak. So that's so this last losing streak adds to the 4-game total. And I don't think they've had a 3-game winning streak, a couple of 3-game winning streaks, and a 2-game winning streak. But I think that's it. Let's see, individual wins, 3. I should have looked at this beforehand. A 2, a 3. Yeah, so they've had 2 3-game winning streaks, 1 2-game winning streaks. They do not tend to win a lot of games in a row. So hopefully that trend continues. Notable personnel changes. They're not much. Not much here. They've got Brock McGinn. Left wing Brock McGinn is on injured reserve as of the 21st. Out for the rest of the season. No notable stats. They had the minor league player trade with San Jose the other day. Left wing. They got left wing Pavel Regenda. Or traded Pavel Regenda for right wing Justin Bailey. Or the other way around. Doesn't matter. I need to make my notes a little bit more specific here. Okay, let's just get this right. In the transactions, it's not going to tell me. Okay, never mind. Because they're minor league players. The players to watch: number 19, right wing Troy Terry. He's first in everything. He's first in goals, assists, so points, 15 goals, 22 assists, 37 points. Second in shooting at 111. First in shooting with 152, so a significant jump up the board. Number 77, left wing Frank Vatrano, who's second in goals and third in assists, so third in points. And then the guy rounding out the second places and assists and points is number 16, center Ryan Strome. So, and then the maybe the most dangerous person, with number 91, center Leo Carlson, second in shooting percentage at 16.4%, 9 goals on 55 shots. So not terribly, not terrible, what am I trying to say? Not too much to worry about. Doesn't look like he takes a lot of shots. And the shooting percentage is good. 16% is good. Not exceptional, but it's good. So, yeah, primarily I would say number 19 and number 77 are the players to look out for. Terry and Vatrano, right wing and left wing. Left wing, right? What did I do this morning? Vatrano, no, right wing. So that would be an R, not a T. So that's, right wing. So that's the people to look for. Number 19, number 77. For the Preds are now 18-22-7, 6-14-4 on the road. 7th in the Central Division with 43 points, 9 points ahead of Chicago, 6 points behind Utah, still sitting there on the highway with cruise control on. Plenty of space between the cars ahead and behind, at least in our division. This is the second game of a 2-game road trip, 1-0, and 7-3-0 in the last 10. No notable personnel changes from the other day. Well, I take that back. There's one. Jankowski, Evangelista, and Lazan are still out. Lazan still expected to be back for the game tomorrow night. But I guess the new personnel change is that right wing Cole Smith, who was reactivated off injured reserve for last night's game, got a match penalty last night. Cross-checking to the back of the head, that seems to be going around the league now. Connor McDavid did that, and somebody did that in Vancouver, did that to somebody in Edmonton. A couple of those in the game the other night both got match penalties, both got 3-game suspensions, to which McDavid thought was unfair because, the refs should have been calling penalties before he got so aggravated that he had to hit the guy in the back of the head. And he's probably right, but Jiminy Cricket. So he's so endearing with his arrogance. Moving on. People to watch for the Preds: Marchessault, Forsberg, Josi, O'Reilly, Stamkos. Those are the 5 to watch. With the goals last night, Forsberg now is in sole possession of first place in goals, and has been all season first place in assists, so first in points. Also first in shots with 167. Marchessault, I'll get that right eventually, third in goals, third in assists, second in points, second in shooting. And then Josi, the one with most time on ice, 25-14. O'Reilly, steady, and fourth in time on ice, third in shooting percentage at 15.9%. I reported him as fourth, and it's true in the stats he's fourth, but second in stats is Juuso Parssinen, who's no longer with the team. So for active people on the Preds team, O'Reilly is third in shooting percentage, and Stamkos is second at 16.8%, 17 goals on 101 shots. Stamkos is second in goal scoring at 17. Fedor Zvechkov got a goal last night and has a shooting percentage top on the team at 21.4%, 6 goals on 28 shots, getting a lot more playing time, which is why it's interesting to report that. So there you go. Still only 4 players with plus minus above 0, and that would be Blankenberg leads the team at 11, with Wilsby, Henostra, and Gravel, the ones other players who are above 0. Okay, so the Nashville Predators road stats: 6, a big 6 now, 6, 14, and 4. So that's exciting. The Preds did get the first goal of the game. Last night, they got the first goal of the game. They got the first goal of the game in the first period, and it was a road game, so that was the first. There we go. No whistling on your S's. There we go again. First time this season that they have gotten the winning goal in the first period, and I guess if it's winning goal, then first goal. No. I got the first goal in the first period, and they won the game on the road. That was the first time. First time they got the first goal in the first period and won the game. So that's a new stat, eliminating a 0. I was serious when I was saying I didn't want San Jose to get the first goal. I was serious when I was really hoping the Preds would have a big win, and it looked that way initially, and then it didn't. Then it looked like it was going to be a battle. So was it 7 minutes into the game, the Preds were up by 3, and then they gave up 2, which sparked an idea, and I didn't follow up on that one. The whole when periods change result from one to the next. Win one period, then lose the next, and what happens in those circumstances. I have looked at that before. I'll look at that later. Got too involved in looking at the playoff stuff, and so I didn't look at that. But so that is the first goal. They are now 9-0-1 when they get the first goal overall, and 2-6-0 when they do not. So that is good, and that is from the 12th of December. The winning by period. Let's see if that's looking any better, any different. So they did win the first period last night, lost the second period. So on the road, the first period, they're 2-2-5. Now the second period, 4-4-1, and the third period, 3-5-1. They did win the third period last night. So they won two periods, which is if you win two periods, you're not guaranteed, but the Preds are 5-0 when they've won two periods, and at home, let's see, they're on the road, so 3-0 on the road when they win two periods, and that's since the 12th. Because before that, there was two games where they won two periods and lost the game. But losing it in overtime. So they won two periods and they lost two periods. When they tie two periods, overall they're 2-1 on the road. They're 1-0, but they did not tie a period last night. Losing one period this season since the 12th, they're 4-1. Overall on the road, 1-0. So at home, 3-1. So that's looking at the number of periods won, and then the correlation. So again, they won the first period last night, so they're now 7-2 when they win the first period. Away, they're 1-1 now when they win the first period. Losing the second period. They are 2-4 now, and 1-3 on the road. So losing the second period and still winning the game, an anomaly so far this season. The third period they did win. They are 8-0 when they win the third period during the stretch, and 3-0 on the road when they win the third period. So that's pretty good. When to take out the empty net goals, they're 2-1 on winning the third period, but 6-1 overall. So when you take out the empty net goals, things change slightly. But so 7-1 in the second period when they win the second period, 6-1 in the third period, 7-2 the first period. So that is your result correlations. And then as far as the winning goal goes, it's flipping this, need to be a little bit more concise here. But the winning goal, now with the Preds getting the win in the third period, that brings it up to 28%. It's still the primarily in the second period, 44% getting the winning goal in the second period. On the road, the winning goal is happening in the second period 67% of the time, 22% in the third. And when the Preds win, now with that win being in the third period, now that's 25% with them winning in the third, getting the winning goal in the third period. So, 4 wins, so not dealing with a lot of data there. And the home team winning, road team winning. The home team is getting the winning goal in the second period 42% of the time. and the visiting team getting the winning goal 50% of the time in the second period, 33% of the time in the third period. And that's when we look at things from the beginning of time. I think that I'm going to go and change my graph here or my data here to look at it overall this season. And because with the goal in the third period, so overall now when the Preds win, it's 33% for both the second and the third period. Yeah, I wondered if that would change. Overall, 36% still, second period. The winning goal being scored in the second period 36% of the time, 28% of the time now in the third. So the second and third, definitely the two periods where it's primarily being scored. Preds winning 33% second and third. Preds losing 38% of the time in the second period. Scrolling down here, on the road, 50% of the time the winning goal is being scored in the second period, 25% of the time in the third. Preds winning 67% of the time in the second period, and then 44% for the opponents, and 44% of the time the winning goal is being scored in the second period. For the home team, winning 33% in the second period still, and for the visiting team, 41% in the second period. The third period being the second most, the home team getting the winning goal in the third period 27% of the time. The visiting team 29% of the time when they get the winning goal, it's in the third period. So still heavily for the second. But every time that you get a data point like that, it can start moving some things around. We're not getting a lot of winning goals in the first period, but we do have some. Goal scoring. A lot of goals being scored last night, that's for sure. So overall, the Preds are still leading the opposition, 18-16 in the first, 21-20 in the second, 23-20 in the third. But taking out the empty nets, that goes down to 15 each. On the road now, the Preds have a deficit in the first period, tie it in the second, and are losing in the third by 1 now. So they're down 3, 7-10 in the first, tied at 11. And these numbers are since December 12th, and down 1, 10-11. Both teams having 4 empty net goals, so that with the empty nets, it's 6-7. Looking at the overall min and max since December 12th, was still on the road when they win. Still, the minimum goals that the Preds get in the second and third period is 1, which is weird. And when they lose, the minimum for the opponents is 1 in the third. So that's those are kind of interesting data points. 3 now is the max. It probably might have been 3 before, but now it's definitely 3. And then in the first, the opponent's high is 4 on the road. Of course, that happened the other night. That's also 4 for the opponents at home. So there's that. All right. And so that is that. Special teams play. Lots of penalties last night. So lots of opportunities. And in the end, 4 power play goals, 1 just after, and a goal that occurred while all 3 fighting majors were being rolled out, or all those people in the sin bin. So not a special team situation, but an opportunity for tracking that there was a score while somebody was in the penalty box for a major penalty, which I don't know that that's terribly interesting, but I'm tracking that right now. And then then we had the match penalty, which is which I think Hanostra served. It was a 5-minute major. So that was fun. One of the power play goals was during that 5-minute major. We're lucky it was only one, because in a major penalty, the penalty does not end with a goal. So that's So that can get a little bit scary. So it's the second match penalty for Nashville this season. But yeah, they came out on top when it came down to the number of goals scored during special team situations. The opposition had 2 and the Preds had 3, so with no empty net. So that's definitely a positive, kind of what you're looking for. All right. So that's special teams. Now for the matchups between Nashville and Anaheim. So last year, the visiting team won all 3. The Preds played 2 in Nashville last year, so Anaheim was 2-1 against Nashville last year. Nashville then would be 1-2 against Anaheim. Let's see how that works. Anaheim won 2-3 and 3-5. The Preds won 4-2. Nashville did not score in the first period of any game, and also had 2 other periods where they did not score a goal. In the first game, the third period, and the second game, the second period. Anaheim only had 2 scoreless periods. The first period of the first game, the first period of the first and third game. So 2 of the games last year, there was no scoring in the first period. And then, so the Preds and Anaheim were 3-3-3. 3 period wins, 3 period losses, 3 ties. And Nashville did win 1 period in each game, so they were able to win 1 period and win the game in Anaheim. They got the first goal in the first and third game, and so the first 2 games were in Nashville, and then they played in Anaheim. So they were 1-1 when they got the first goal. Anaheim then got the first goal in the second game and won the game. So that's how it worked out last year. As far as how the teams are on penalty situations this year, Anaheim is not very good. They are 31st in the power play at 12%, 17 goals on 132 opportunities, and 27th on the penalty kill at 73%, 36 goals on 136 opportunities. Nashville is in the upper half of the league with 12th for the power play, up to 12th on the power play with 21.2%, 28 goals on 132 opportunities, and 7th in the penalty kill, dropping in the rankings. The percentage ticked up a little bit, but they dropped a point, a place, and they're 82.4% now. The penalty kill, 25 goals on 142 opportunities. So when it comes to the power play, Anaheim and Nashville have had the same number of opportunities, 132, but Nashville has scored 11 more goals, 28-17. And then on the penalty kill, Nashville has had more opportunities to kill penalties, 6 more, and have 11 less goals against. So that's Anaheim. Please let's not push that. Let's not push the penalty kill situation. Power play, we can't do much about that. I don't mind being on the power play. If the other team wants to do something stupid, that's up to them. Please. Gosh, I hate seeing all these fights and seeing all these penalties. As far as when the teams are scoring goals, Anaheim is last in the league in scoring. I think San Jose was, but now it's Anaheim. They're 32nd with 116, comparing that to Nashville, who's 28th with 127. And then the teams are the same, both giving up 149 goals, but the Preds are ranked at 13th and Anaheim at 14th, but giving up the same number of goals, giving up roughly the same number in the first period and the third period. Scoring goals. I'm sorry, scoring goals about the same in the first and third period. But Anaheim seems to have a drought in the second. That seems to be their biggest issue. They are 17th in the league in the third, so they're 27th in the first. So they're not close to league average. But the second period is quite anemic. 27 goals scored 32nd, so they're last in the league. Nashville has 14 more goals, puts them to 41, and they're still near the bottom at 25th in the league. So neither team is the second period. There's a lot more scoring going on in the league than when these two teams are playing. So given that circumstance, well, where are they in goals against in the second? And the Predators are 9th in the league, giving up goals at 54. And the second is also one of the strengths. So Anaheim doesn't give up a lot of goals, and they don't score a lot of goals in the second period. So they sounds like they've got something right there. They're 24th in the league and being scored against in the second period, and last at scoring. So there are not a lot of scoring going on in the second period in the games with Anaheim. Ergo, expect a scoring bonanza tomorrow night. The first period, the Preds are a little stingy. They're 24th in the league, only giving up 36 to Anaheim's 48, 9th in the league. So the first period, they don't score a lot, but they do are scored against. So it seems like they're giving up a lot of goals in the first period. And then in the third period, they're 8th in the league, giving up goals with 57. Nashville has 52, 15th in the league. So roughly mid-pack, which is, I guess, is okay. Expect to see those numbers, one goal here, one goal there. It's kind of hard to make huge moves with such a body of work behind you. But hopefully the goals for the Preds increase, and that's what really matters. Where they're at in the league is kind of irrelevant. When you're starting at the bottom and you're starting to play better, you've got a long way to go. But that's kind of where the Preds are anyway. So, so it's both teams give up a lot of goals in the third, and the Preds do in the second, but Anaheim does in the first. So Anaheim gives up a lot of goals in the first and third. Nashville the second and third, and then correspondingly, Anaheim scores most of their goals in the third, and so do the Preds. But the Preds have a lot of empty net goals, so they have 45 goals scored in the third to 14 empty nets. So they really seem to score more in the second than they do in the third, which is not which kind of plays against the strength of Anaheim. So it's looking, just looking at the data, look at when these teams tend to score and keep teams from scoring. Anaheim doesn't score a lot in the second period, but Nashville gives up a lot. So, and correspondingly, Anaheim gives up a lot in the first, but Nashville tends not to score a lot in the first. So, I don't know. It does. Signs point to a third period of scoring. However, the numbers and trends and, just like last night. So I'm expecting the second period to be a lot of scoring. I'm not making a prediction. Not going in my prediction file. I'm just saying, given everything that I've been saying, it's it's looking like I'm going to be wrong. Because you got to play the game. And when you play the game, all that other stuff doesn't matter because you got to play the game. So let's play the game tomorrow night in Anaheim. As far as momentum goes, Anaheim did beat Pittsburgh last night 5-1 after losing 4 in a row, 3-7 in the last 10. Nashville is on its longest winning streak of the season at 5 and 7-3 in the last 10. It's kind of looking like two teams that are kind of headed in opposite directions. But that was kind of the way it was with San Jose too. But it's why you got to play the game. As I just said, goaltenders. For Anaheim, Lucas Dostal gets most of the work. Dostal is 11, 13, and 4. John Gibson, who has been their starting goaltender, he was out the first month of the season to injury, so he hasn't played as much. He's still 7, 8, and 2. They do seem to be alternating games at this point. It looks like they've played around with who was going to be the starting goaltender, and you'd have one in goal for a while, and then they'd kind of alternate, and then the other one would play a couple of games, and it doesn't really, nothing really looks as if they are. It doesn't look like the goaltending is the problem, is what I would say. At this point, the goaltenders are alternating games at this point. Gibson was in goal for the first game versus Nashville last year, and it's probably Dostal. I'll go with Dostal. That's what I've been saying. Dostal in goal for the other two. Gibson did play last night versus Pittsburgh, so I would expect to see Dostal, and I just changed it again. In goal. So Dostal in goal. Dostal goal. Yeah, Dostal goal. Dostal in goal is what I would guess. Nashville, Saros is 11, 18, and 6. He has been playing 2 or 3 for Annanen's 1. Annanen is 6 and 2 and 0 now. But Annanen did play last night after going in relief of Saros the other night. Hey, got to play the game. Got to play the game that's ahead of you. You got to play the game that you're in. You got to play the game that's in now. So Saros was in for the first 2 versus Anaheim last year. So those the home games. So he was 0-2. Lankinen was in goal in Anaheim, and so he got the win. Annunen did not face Anaheim playing for Colorado last year. And like I said, Annunen was in relief of Saros on Tuesday and then played last night. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see Saros in goal against Anaheim. But, got to play the game. I'll just say that again. All right, so there you go. That's what tomorrow night's game looks like. People to look out for. Let's just keep it simple. 19 and 77. Right wing. 2 right wings. Terry and Vetrano. 19 Terry, 77 Vetrano. The 2 guys to look out for. First and second in goal scoring with 15 and 13. So that's your numbers for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night in Anaheim, the Nashville Predators Wow, I really don't want to be the one that jinxed them, but looking for 6 in a row. That's 6 in a row. That's 6 in a row. Let's just stop saying that. All right. Well, great. Well, thanks for listening. I'm Preston Proctor, and you've been listening to Predators Proclivity.